If you desire to walk in alignment with your purpose, to live a life of joy, abundance, and fulfillment, you've come to the right place. This is Sarah Locke, and welcome to Purpose Unlocked. Hello, everyone. Today, I'm excited to talk about just something that I've been talking to my sister a lot about recently, which is being a mom and just all of the layers of things that adds to your life. And it's a lot of layers of good, amazing things that are so enjoyable. And it also just makes every aspect of life more difficult, from sleeping to feeding yourself to feeding them to getting to go anywhere like the grocery store. So it just there's so many layers to it. And one of the things I had talked about recently was just that I feel like I have in certain ways become a little bit of a hypocrite, because before I had children, there were definitely a lot of things that I said I would never do. And now I'm definitely doing them. So I think where you can, someone's got to throw me a bone here kind of thing, because I'm like, well, if it works, it works. And I'm just going to do it that way because that seems to be the way that's going to make my life the slightest bit easier. So I'll do it.
All right. And what specific examples do you have of being a hypocrite?
Well, one of the first things that I said I would never do, that I only did a little bit of, but probably more than I wanted to, was co-sleeping. Because when you're getting ready to have a baby and you're taking the classes, everyone is telling you never co-sleep with your baby, they could die, blah, blah, blah. Like, they make it sound as if it's the most dangerous, horrible thing in the world. And if you do that as a parent, you're basically setting your child up to die in bed with you. Which, first of all, is absolutely absurd, because if you look at other countries like Japan, they have lower instances of SIDS, which is the sudden infant death syndrome. So they have less instances of children just randomly dying in their sleep, and they have a culture of co-sleeping. So it's not the co-sleeping that's killing babies in their sleep, apparently. So that was one of the things I said I was never going to do, because A, I was scared out of it, and B, I just really didn't want like a screaming, kicking baby in my bed, waking me up, but then also making it hard for me to sleep because I was scared out of my mind of rolling on him or crushing him and whatnot. So I definitely didn't do it when he was a newborn, because again, I was just too scared. I wanted him safely in his own bassinet. But then as he got a little older, it was just one of the ways to get him to sleep a little bit better during the night. After Mark went back to work, I had to quiet the baby as quickly as I could if he woke up during the night, so that Mark could get a decent amount of sleep. So if I fed him and he wouldn't go back down in his bassinet, I would just snuggle him, because I thought to myself, Mark needs sleep because he needs to work, and the baby needs to be quiet, so that hopefully we can all get a little more sleep. So that was one of the things that I was like, I would never, ever do that. And I definitely did. But then after about 6 months, we started sleep training him. So now we leave him in his crib, and unfortunately he has to cry it out sometimes. But that was only bad at first, and then they get more used to the fact that they need to stay in their crib at night. And then now we've gotten down to feeding him only once in the middle of the night, which is a big improvement. Now he's over 7 months old and he's almost 20 pounds. So he's a chunker, and we make sure he gets a nice hearty dinner so that he can sleep that long without eating. But he's doing well. One of the weird things that I didn't think that I would do, that I don't think makes me a hypocrite, I just didn't see this as being such a large part of my life, is I never thought that I would talk about poop as much as I talk about poop. It's just now a topic of conversation.
Why do you need to talk about poop so much?
Well, I probably don't need to, but I feel like as he was first of all, the blowout situation, when you're fully breastfeeding a little one, like a brand new baby, is obscene. I thought that blowouts were like urban legend. Like you might see one here and there, but they're not an everyday thing. No, they're an everyday thing. And some people say, oh, no, it doesn't happen that often. Okay, maybe for you, maybe your baby's a unicorn, or maybe they're just not breastfed. Apparently, it does not happen to formula-fed babies as often, but my baby was on 100% breast milk for the first 5 or 6 months. So there were a lot of blowouts, more than anyone prepares you for. And then they start eating solid foods and their whole digestive system is like, whoa, what's going on here? So then it's just, there's a lot of texture changes. Then you're worried about them being constipated. And then you're trying to describe to your significant other, like if they did poop, you're like, how much did they poop? You want to make sure that they're going enough. And it's a lot of poop conversations.
Okay, that's fair.
I hope that this is an issue for other parents too, and I don't sound crazy. But I feel like it might be, or I might just be crazy. I actually don't know. I haven't asked any other parents, like, do you talk about poop way more than you ever expected to? It's not really a question I was comfortable asking other people, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm sure it is common. It's just probably not talked about amongst the mothers. Comparing notes. But obviously, yeah, there is going to be that huge change when you're either going from formula or breast milk to switching to solid foods and, seeing how sweet potatoes affect the system.
Oh, don't get me started on the sweet potatoes.
Needing to add banana. So no, it's definitely a learning process. And it's a learning process for the baby as well. The baby is like, what is this that they're putting in my mouth? I've never tasted this before. This applesauce has way too much spice.
Yeah, there have definitely been things that he has tried that he has not been a fan of. And I did let you in on the applesauce situation. So the first time I made him applesauce, I made it like gourmet applesauce with star anise and cinnamon and all of the things, and he was not a fan, which is fair. It smelled amazing. My house smelled like a Thanksgiving candle. It was great. Mark loved it. The baby did not. But speaking of other things that I thought I wouldn't do, cloth diapering was another one of those things that I added to the list. Did I do it for a long time? No, because once he transitioned to solid food, we went through a phase where like it was just way too messy. And then the poop situation firmed up a little bit, and then I felt more comfortable, like, okay, this is easier to clean up, whatever. But then we were traveling, and so we just got out of that habit, and it is a lot more work. Some people might tell you it's not. I feel like that would be a lie. Also, it's really hard, for me anyway, it's hard to clean the inserts to the diaper because you have to like stuff it with this cloth thing. And that cloth thing is really thick because it needs to absorb everything it needs to absorb. But then it's like so thick that when you wash it, it's really hard to dry. So I just felt like, I don't know, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but it was difficult.
I can definitely see that being more difficult than just the normal typical diaper. So
yeah, because the normal one you just throw in the garbage, which isn't great for the planet, which is why I was trying to do the right thing with the cloth diapering. But some days I just don't have it in me. And also the other ones I find are way more absorbent than cloth diapers. So if I'm going out of the house, I don't want it to leak. So if I'm going anywhere, I don't want him having a cloth diaper on. So it's really only when we're home. Last thing maybe it's not the last thing. I mean, I'm sure that I'm going to unlock plenty of other layers of things that I said I would never do that I now do. The last thing that I'm a little embarrassed to admit is mom jeans. I vowed to never wear mom jeans. I thought they were absolutely heinous. Heinous. I would never be caught dead in mom jeans. And I have to admit, I did not choose the mom jean life. The mom jean life chose me. So the jeans were given to me, not as a gift. It was like a hand-me-down situation. Like, oh, I don't want these. You can have it. Yeah, but they fit really well and they're so comfortable. They're like the sweatpant of jeans. You don't have to squeeze yourself into them. It's like a nice little hug from your denim. And now I judge other people less for wearing mom jeans because I now rock them. They're very comfortable.
What is one thing you thought you would do, but you do not do?
One thing I thought I would do that I do not do. Well, I knew that I would make his food myself, that I would puree it myself. And I do that. Occasionally, I give him one of the like organic Gerber little pouches. If I don't already have, I actually make my own pouches because someone gave me reusable pouches that you can fill with puree, which I didn't even know they had those. But someone gave those to me and they've been super helpful. So, but if I haven't gotten a chance to make the puree and the pouch and all of that, sometimes I'll give him a Gerber pouch, which I did kind of say I wouldn't do that because I just figured I was going to make all of his food, but there's certain times where it is nice to just have it on the go if you're out of the fresh stuff.
What is one thing about motherhood that is easier or pretty much what you expected? And what is one thing that was definitely you were not prepared for or you didn't know before motherhood that you have now been enlightened to?
I feel like that's such a funny and hard question to answer. And the reason it's funny is because I don't think there's anything about motherhood where I'm like, yeah, that's so much easier than I thought it would be. I think everything is harder than I thought it would be. I don't know.
And not necessarily easier, but like, yeah, one thing that people say that this is how it's going to be, and they try to prepare you or you try to know beforehand, but being in it, it's like, oh, that is kind of like what people were saying. Or, yeah.
Well, I guess as it relates to the sleep thing, people do try to tell you you're not going to sleep, but you cannot prepare your body for the lack of sleep you're going to get. Because the problem is, if a baby wakes up, they don't tell you that the baby is going to wake up every hour or every 90 minutes. And you don't realize how long that's going to last, because some people's babies start sleeping through the night at 6 months. Some start even earlier than that, and some do not, like my baby. So that part's hard, obviously. And people try to prepare you, but you can't prepare yourself to be woken up every 90 minutes because you can't fall back asleep that quickly and then like be woken up again. So then when you wake up again, you're so groggy. And then in addition to that, there were certain times where I would have to wake up and either I would feed him or Mark would feed him, but then I still had to go pump because I was pumping all the time. And then after you pump, that takes, 20 minutes. And sometimes it doesn't take quite that long, but then you're wide awake because you were pumping. And in order to keep yourself sane, you were watching something entertaining or funny on YouTube just to like entertain yourself. But anyway, so yeah, the sleeping is not in the bucket of things that you should be prepared for because everyone tells you about you can't be prepared for that. one of the things that was surprisingly better than I was told is the hair loss situation. A lot of people lose their pregnancy hair, and like you get long, luxurious hair when you're pregnant a lot of the time. And then for a number of women, it winds up falling out after you have the baby. And I'm really glad that mine did not. So people tried to tell me, oh yeah, your hair is going to fall out. And I was like, okay. Like, first of all, I've been through some things in life. So my hair has fallen out before. And you know what? I kept on keeping on. So I wasn't all that worried about it. And maybe that's why it didn't fall out, was because it was the one thing I wasn't that worried about. And yeah, mine didn't fall out. So I got lucky there. But yeah, everything else is harder than you would expect. Also because when, as a mother, I think that this is everyone, or at least it's most mothers that love and are connected to their babies. I'm making an assumption, I don't know. But when your baby cries, it is like soul piercing. Like you need to fix it. It's like ingrained in you that you're like, okay, what do I need to do? I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna rock him. I'm gonna sing to him. Is he tired? Is he hungry? What does he need? And you're just in like go mode trying to figure it out. And that part is actually a lot like more mentally draining than I thought it would be. Because in the meantime, you're like listening to them cry or whine. And then when they get older, like now, if I put him down, he just whines because he wants to be picked up again. He's not whining because he's hungry or he's in pain or anything. He's just whining because he's like, I want my mom. I'm like, I know, but I need to go to the bathroom and eat and, do things to sustain my life as well. So yeah, I think the whining is really difficult. And I'm also someone with like audio, like I can't handle a lot of noise, and that really grinds my gears is when there's a lot of whining in the house.
What is one piece of advice you would give to expecting mothers?
I think there's two pieces of advice that everyone gives, and it's like, enjoy every moment. I think that that's an unfair thing to say, because you're not going to enjoy every moment. I did not enjoy being up at 2 a.m. attached to a breast pump. Like, not my idea of a good time. I also don't like being the sole source of food. Like, that's really hard. That part's way harder than you would expect. Also, the sleep when the baby sleeps is such trash, because like I said, I don't have the ability to fall asleep in an instant and wake up in an instant, or wake up 60 to 90 minutes later. So my brain just doesn't work like that. So you can't sleep when the baby sleeps. It's just not. Our adult brains, I don't think, do that. Maybe some people can. I'm not one of those people. But what advice would I give? That's the advice I would not give. But I would probably just say this season of your life is not going to look like how you expected it to look. It's going to look so much better and so much worse than you thought it would. I think that's okay. I think if this season of life doesn't look like what you expected it to look like, that's all right. But don't be hard on yourself about it, and learn to embrace it. And if you are a hypocrite, who cares? Because all of us are. And get yourself a comfy pair of mom jeans. That is solid advice. Well, with all of that said, if you are a new mom, know that you're not alone. If you feel like you are going a little bit crazy, or you're a giant mom jean wearing hypocrite like me, that's okay. We're all in this together, and it's hard and it's a journey, but it's rewarding and it's awesome and it's beautiful, and we're going to get through it. Thank you for the precious gift of your time. If you found this helpful, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with someone you love. Until next time, count your blessings, love yourself, and stay fabulous.